Hello, everybody. Welcome, welcome. Coming on in. I got a special song for you today. Just a few lines. I love you, Lord, for your mercy never failed me. All my days I've been held in your hand. From the moment that I wake up until I lay my head, oh, I will sing of the goodness of God. All my life you have been faithful. All my life you have been so good. With every breath that I am able, oh, I will sing of the goodness of God. I love your voice. You have led me through the fire in darkest nights. You are close like no other. I've known you as my father. I've known you as my friend. And I have lived in the goodness of God. All my life you have been faithful. All my life you have been so good. With every breath that I am able, oh, I will sing of the goodness of God. All right, everybody, that's enough. Welcome to the channel. Welcome to today. I'm excited. This is number 2 podcast of Encouragement on Fire. I hope you enjoyed that song selection that I chose today. It's a wonderful song. It's the goodness of God, and it's a great song. So if you have time to listen to it, please do so. But today I have so much to talk about, and I want to first head up to the current events of the hour. The first thing I'd like to do is, first of all, give my condolences out to um, the Braxton family. They lost a sister, a loved one, a daughter, a mother in their family. So I just want to say a condolences from our family to yours. One of their family members lost her battle with cancer. She was 50 years old, and she is with the Lord today. Um, Another situation in current events, there is actually online, it's called Chronicle on Live. Let me see if I can get some more information. Chronicle Live by Sophie Finnegan. Um, this young woman wrote a story about a lady by the name of Tess Robinson. And this young lady, she is 41 years old, and she said that her pet chihuahua saved her life. Can you believe that, Pastor Darrell? Her pet chihuahua saved her life. Yes. The reason I'm mentioning this is because this young woman was diagnosed with 2 forms of cancer, and once she was detected of one, the other one occurred, and they were able to actually address it. So if it had not been for her pet chihuahua, she would never have known. She was sitting around, and the actual chihuahua jumped up on her chest. Now it would stare at her, which normally it did not do that, but it jumped up on her chest where the actual cancer was. And so what it did was it caused her to be more um, prevalent of that area on her body. She was, she noticed it more. So every time she went in the mirror, she saw that spot and she said, well, 2 days after her pet chihuahua had jumped on her, she actually felt something in that area. And then she reached out to her doctor, and her doctor acknowledged that she had stage 3 cancer.
Mm.
So if it had not been for her pet chihuahua, perhaps she may not have known to stage 4, or it would have been too late. But she is now in her treatments, and this was, I think, in 2020 this actually happened. So she had went through her treatments, and I believe either she's still in her process or she has come on the other side. But thank God for that little pet chihuahua. If any of you have pets, you can possibly relate. I have 2 wonderful little dogs, Loca and Lotto. You hear Pastor Darrell in the back. Loca and Lotto. And I'm telling you that I thank God for, like I said, my husband, my family, my children, my mom. But guess what? My dog, Loca, she is a brilliant dog. She's intelligent. And when I was laying there from the chemo, and that first couple of months, they tell you to watch the breathing of the person because it can be affected. But she would watch me. Nobody had to tell her. She would sit there and she would watch me. And a couple of times, and I'm telling y'all, I wanted to hit that dog a couple times, but I wouldn't. But a couple of times, she came up to me. She looked at me just to see if I was actually breathing. And if I wasn't, she'd take her paw, and I'm telling you, she'd smack me in the face. I was like, this dog is smacking me in the face. But she was keeping me alive. She was making sure that the person that gives her the water and the food is going to be around here for a later time.
Well,
So, yeah.
it's been done in several cases where
Uh-huh.
animals are very perceptive to the owners and to their health conditions.
Absolutely.
And there's times where
Mhm.
we've read or even seen on the news where animals
Mhm.
has alerted the owner that they're about to have a heart attack,
Absolutely.
or they've
Right.
dragged them out of a room when there
Right.
was a
Or
fire.
seizures.
Or
Seizures.
seizures,
Dogs
yes,
are
yes.
very good
So they're
for
very,
that.
very
Yes.
perceptive. So
Yes.
if you don't have one, get one.
Yes. We believe in our dogs.
They say it's man's best friend. It's a companion.
Right.
And
Well, some people believe in cats.
yeah.
But
Well, listen, cats,
we're
dogs,
not a
doesn't
cat
matter.
family. We're
So
not a cat
so
family. But anybody out there who is a
right,
cat
right.
family, I
So
think
be
that
it.
is wonderful.
So be
Cats
it.
or dogs, whatever you have. But for us, my dog, Luca, she was wonderful. And I just want to give a couple of shout outs to Melanie. I see you out there. And my mom, Elder Cynthia, I see you too. Oh, Gretchen, hey, how you doing there? Anybody else on there? Please type in, let me know that you're online. I really want to hear your comments as we're moving forward. So welcome. If you're coming from the Facebook, we have a new group. So if you want to join the private side of the group, and we can talk about a little bit more than we will on the actual podcast, please join our group on Facebook. I think we're up to, since yesterday, I created it, and we're up to 20 strong. So keep on joining the group. And like I said, this was really for people who want information about what we're talking about, defeating cancer, sickness, and disease. And also, um, you know, to provide support for people who are in their process of going through this. It's one thing to come out of it, because it's like your rhythm starts to get back to the normal. However, you do recall at a moment's notice, someone talk about it, and you can recall, and you can go right back there. But there are people right now who are in the process, and we want to be really sensitive to them. Hi, Gail. How are you? Good to see you. We really want to be very sensitive to people going through sickness and disease, and particularly cancer. So if you know any, family members, get them online. Even if they can't come on the live channel, have them review it on a private time. So also, I want to, just talk to you about the importance of screenings. So I'm very thankful to the ladies at my particular church who, Crystal, Gretchen, The different ones who kept telling me, Pastor Shirley, you need to go get your screenings. Need to go get those screenings, especially the breast, the breast one. I really, it was years sometimes I went without getting it done. Shame on me. I encourage each and every one of you to go and get your different screenings. I want to talk about a few of them. We're not going to go into all of them because there's many screenings, but a few of them that can help you in your health. Now, you know, like I said, my audience are faith-based people as well as those that consider themselves not. And so I always want to have a balance in anything I'm talking about. So if you are an individual who does, drink alcohol or any of those things, make sure that you're doing, it's called a harmful alcohol use screening, and it's a questionnaire. You can get them online, but definitely do that, because sometimes we think that, oh, my alcohol consumption is fine, and I'm good. We should always check ourselves. Actually, when we say, oh, I'm so healthy, that's what we're saying. I'm so healthy. And though that I believe that I was, there came a time that I was not, and I had to do something about it. So just take the time to do that. There's another screening, and it's the blood pressure screening. Now, to my individuals who are in the health field, possibly you know all about this, but my thing is, sometimes even when we know, it's just like preachers, pastors, we may know something, but do we actually apply it to our lives? So I'm just speaking out some different things so then everybody can be mindful, and maybe it can remind us to do these things annually. So we have our blood pressure screening. And why do we do that? To make sure that heart attacks are not part of our lives, stroke, and even death. Because if our blood pressure is up too high, that's a bad thing. And you can get blood pressure, one of those, what are they called?
Cups.
Cups, yes. In your Walgreens, your CVS, you can purchase them just about anywhere. And so you can do that throughout the months. And also, going back to the breast cancer screening, please get your mammograms done. Now, there is research out there that says, are the screenings even necessary? Do they prevent people from dying? Well, I always say that prevention is a great thing. So you can read the research, and it does say that it doesn't necessarily prevent people from dying. However, if you find out about anything that is threatening to your life in an early stage, and that includes cancer, your blood pressure jumping up, anything, if you can be proactive to get the numbers down, if you can be proactive to take in better healthy eating or exercise, any of those things, all those things can add to your life. So for me, I believe in the screenings, getting the early detection as possible. And then we all know that the colon screening, usually they say that, I think it is 50 years old, right?
Well, now they've moved it up to 40.
To 40. All right. So,
And every 5 years.
and every 5
So
years.
I'm due this year.
All right. So we're going to get Pastor Darrell to go again. Yeah. And Gretchen says, I do my screenings and yearly doctor appointments around my birthday so I won't forget. That is a good tool. Excellent. Yes, Gretchen. So we should always either have a buddy, that's what they taught me, have a buddy that goes with you annually. So they'll remind you, or like Gretchen is doing, she does it on her birthday or around that time. So that's really good. And so, we also want to do our cholesterol screening. How many of you have high cholesterol?
Get your blood work
Let's
done.
be honest. Come on. How many of you out there really have high cholesterol? And have you done anything to lower it? That's another thing. Maybe that's a conversation we can have in our group on Facebook. We can talk about how we can lower our cholesterol. So that's really important. Now, in today's society, and I will say, as far as our universities, students going to the university, we have found that, you know, hey, Elder Ray, how you doing? We have found that um, the mental health is extremely high, and that's universities across the board. So we're not talking about one in university. So mental health is really a big deal, and there are like a depression screening. So we really need to focus on doing that. Now there's two types of screening. So anybody out there, any doctors on, I have a couple of doctors that will jump on as we're talking. But there are two different types of screening, a PHQ-2, and this is like a 2-week process, okay? And then there's the PHQ-9, and that is a screening instrument for depression. So what I would say to you is, if you think that you are you're depressed and or really moody than normal, I would definitely reach out to your doctor, ask them about those two different types of screenings, and see what your doctor has to say about that. Okay, but you can also look it up on the internet yourself. Be proactive in doing that, because remember, self care is valuable. It is important. You must believe in what you think about your own body. Even though a doctor, they're here to practice for you, practice on you and what they've learned in school. But guess what? You still own this body. This is your body. And every day you breathe, you inhale, you exhale. And guess what? You know it better than anyone. So even though a doctor's telling you something about your body, you probably already knew it. You may not have wanted to acknowledge it, but you did know something. And sometimes you get caught off guard, but once they bring it to your attention, now you start to become aware of what's going on with you. So, the last screening that I wanted to talk to you about is the dental checkup. How many of you go to your dentist on an annual basis? You see the dentist to check out how many cavities. On average, an adult has 3 cavities. I know you're thinking like what, but in average, each person, we all have had like at least 3 cavities in our lifetime. So just be mindful that if you have silver fillings, you may want to consider getting them removed. Okay, so not only are you doing your annual checkup for the dentist, but there's something called the smart removal. We talked about it in our chat. Hey, Dr. Fatisha, how are you? Good, I'm glad you had joined us. We were just talking about some of the screenings for depression, which is the PHQ-2 and the PHQ-9. So if you have anything about that, please put it in the post so people can look into that. But right now, we're talking about that smart removal technique in our mouths as we go to the dentist for the annual physical. And the smart removal is called Safe Mercury Amalgam Removal Technique. And this is really important. In this February 2022, I actually had 7 of my fillings removed and replaced with porcelain. And this particular smart removal is not done by every dentist, but it's those that are certified to do it. And yes, who said it? Elder Ray said he wants to get his removed. Excellent, Elder Ray. We'll talk about it. Join the chat. I'll give you who I went to. We can talk about it in detail. But what they're going to do is, first of all, the amalgam fillings are made with 50% mercury. So if anyone is put it this way, science, and mercury is just not good for the human body, period. So imagine it in your body. Yeah, that's not good. So they have to safely remove it. Now they've been putting, and Pastor Darrell, quote me if I'm wrong about this, they have been putting silver fillings in our mouths for over 150 years.
Probably.
Mhm.
That's what they knew. But
Right, that's what they knew.
as
Right.
time evolves and we learn, you more
Right.
educated about stuff, we don't do the old stuff that we used to. It's
We
like
don't.
we
We
read,
don't.
we find out about how scripture it hasn't changed, but we've changed to understand
Right.
scripture
Uh-huh.
better.
Absolutely. And so even and Elder Cynthia said you can get it out of with Corella, and that is absolutely the truth. So while you are in the process of getting the mercury out of your mouth, the silver fillings, you want to definitely take herbs that can remove it from your system, and Corella is one of them, as she stated. So make sure you talk to your doctor, of course, but also go to the herbalist, the herbal stores, things of that nature. Do your research on that, because there are a couple things that can actually remove that out of your body. And let me see. Yes, you can have a cancer screening of your mouth. Yes, absolutely. A friend of ours, he will tell his testimony on this podcast. So I'm going to get him, but I'm not going to talk about who it is. But he's going to tell his testimony of how he had cancer in his throat and his mouth and what his process was. And so, yes, Melanie, you can have that cancer screening. And I think that people should definitely do that, because he went to the dentist, and I'm getting ahead of myself, and the dentist sent him to the doctor immediately.
If the dentist
Yeah, if the
looked in his mouth and said,
said,
"No, you're going straight
"You're
to
going
the ER."
straight to the ER," and he's going to tell his testimony, and he actually wrote a book about it. Actually, his name is Pastor Eric Zeidler. So we're going to have him on our show,
Yeah.
our podcast, and he's going to tell you about his
His
testimony.
book is called Silence of the Tongue.
Yes, Silence of the Tongue. That's the name of his book. So, like I said, in this particular removal technique, they're going to mask up like they normally do, and they're going to cover themselves completely. They're going to cover you completely, and then they're going to have those suctions that they're in your mouth, and they're sucking up everything inside your mouth, and they're chopping it differently. They're chopping away at so it's big hunks, and they're going to remove them as they go because they don't want them to go down your throat. They don't want that. Now, I'm not saying it doesn't happen. I'm saying to you, they're going to minimize that process. Now, in some cases, I think they even put an oxygen mask over you. I didn't get the oxygen mask. I'm not sure if I was supposed to or not, but it was so far away from me, and the way that they had me screened, it probably couldn't have gotten to my nose anyway. So just think about that. If you are you're conscious about those silver fillings, and now that we talked about it, you may want to do the research and look into it. Okay. All right, so let's move on. So one of the things that we talked about last time, time moves so quickly on this podcast. Yeah, I would move a little faster. One of the things we talked about was a question. I told you that the Lord was showing me getting acclimated for the battle. That was the topic that He gave me to speak when people asked me to come out. And well, one of the topics. And the question that I asked you was, do you believe in healing? That is really key. Do you believe in healing? And remember, my audience, I have faith-based people on here, Christians, I have Catholics, I have other religions on here, as well as those that do not believe in God, period. So I'm speaking to everyone here. And I'm talking to those, um, I would say, who, let's just say, do you believe in healing, period? When we look at healing, as a faith-based person, I believe God heals. And people who are not particularly faith-based people, they believe that they can be cured or they can be healed in some form or fashion. There's a study done by asco.org, and this says nearly 4 in 10 Americans, that's 39% of us, believe cancer can be cured solely through alternative therapies. So see how they worded that, can be healed through alternative therapies. Doesn't say anything about God in that. So those are everyone. 39% believe that. Okay. And so then our faith-based people, we believe, like Isaiah 53, 4 and 5, through the stripes of Jesus Christ, we have been made healed. Right. Then it's James 5, 14 to 16. We have so many scriptures on our belief in God, on healing. But then I go further and I have to ask you, do you believe God will heal you? Do you believe healing, whatever capacity you believe it, will come to you? See, sometimes we believe in something for someone else, but do you believe it for yourself? And that's huge. We can, as faith-based people, we can lay hands on people all day long. We can pray for them, right? Seek God for our friend, our loved one. But when it comes to us, not so much, right? But times when you go through sickness and disease, it shows you exactly what you believe and who you believe in. So I'll tell you this, my faith-based people, 66% of you believe, that's 3/4 of Americans believe that prayer can heal people from injury and illness. Now these are surveys that are done, so of course the numbers are going to be a little bit off, but 66% believe, and that's by Barna.com. They did a survey. 66% of us believe that prayer does work, right? And then you have the others that not necessarily their focus in faith in God, but they have a belief, right? 4 and 10, they believe that they still can receive a healing by some type of medicine or other. So we have to figure out, where are you in that, right? Let's be honest. The Lord, he loves when we are honest about what we truly, truly believe. So I want to talk to you about, there's a passage, and I told you I'm going to talk to you about Holy Bible truths. So in the Holy Bible, in Mark 5:25-34, there is a story about a certain woman. And this woman, she had an issue of blood. And similar to those that have gone through cancer or some type of really a detriment of a disease, where you're really year after year, and you're trying and you're paying money to doctors and trying to get healed, and everybody's around, and you're just trying to figure out, what do I do, God? I don't know. Or you're talking to yourself, I don't know what to do. But this particular certain woman, she spent every last dime that she had, right? Isn't that how we feel sometimes? You go to the doctor, and they have nothing for you. That they just have, well, this is what it is. And then you get to a point, and you're like, like, I got to figure this out. I have to figure this out. And then all of a sudden, Jesus came to town. Jesus came to town, and he had his disciples, and all the multitudes was around, this Jesus. And this woman, imagine how she was for, 12 years. She was sick in her body, bleeding. And she somehow crawled, or she somehow made it to Jesus himself. And she touched the hem of his garment. And it said that it dried up. Her condition dried up. So I like to say she was made whole. And instantly Jesus felt the healing come from his body to her. And he said, someone touched me. Now, isn't that wonderful to be in a moment that you are talking to God? That's what happened with me in all this situation. I was sitting there after the doctor said what he said, and I just started to talk to God, and I said, God, I know you can heal me. I don't care if you use chemo, I don't care if you use the doctor's other things, alternative medicine. I don't really care what you use. I don't care if it's instant manifestation, but I know, God, that you could heal me. See, that's my story. I know you can. I just I just had to believe. I knew he could do it. Just like this little certain woman, she knew, if I just touch him. What is your situation? What is it that it's going to take for you to believe that you could be healed today? What's it going to take? See, everybody has a different situation, but I knew in the middle of mine, I didn't care what you used. See, I knew in the end you were behind anything that was going to be used on my body to heal me, God. And that's what that was my belief. And you know what he said to me? The Lord's relationship in mine is funny. He said, June 18th, Shirley. And I'm like, what? This is when I was in prayer, June 18th. And I was like, I just asked you, are you going to heal me? I said, Lord, I need you to heal me. And he said, June 18th. And I was like, okay, it's going to take to June 18th. And he said, no, that's your celebration. You're going to have a celebration.
So that reminds
Mhm.
me of the story of Jesus and the 12 disciples. They're in the boat. He
Mm,
says, "Let us go over to the other side."
go to the other
And the
side.
storm came up upon the sea, and they were so concerned with the storm and everything, they
Yeah.
didn't get
They didn't get it.
the prophecy of what he told them.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what the storm you're going through.
Nope.
You're going to arrive at the appointed destination I called you.
And that's what he was saying to me. He said, Charlotte, it really doesn't matter from this point to June 18th what you go through. And I'm going to tell y'all in more detail what actually happened to me in the next podcast. But all he was trying to tell me is your promise is June 18th. Celebrate. Isn't that wonderful? And so what I get ecstatic even thinking about it. When he said it to me, I started crying. Yeah, I'm gonna do a lot of crying in all these podcasts, but I started crying because he promised me. You will come out of this no matter what, how bad it gets, Shirley, you're going to come out of it. So I believe them. And here I am today. And June 18th is right around the corner. So we're going to end today. Next time, we're going to talk about some exercises that contribute to healing the body, which is really important. And, we're also going to talk about what is the foundation of your faith. What is it you believe? So we talked about that today in two surmises, whether you're a faith-based person or not, you still believe in something. And do you believe it can actually happen to you? And we're going to also talk about, do you believe it's the plan of God? This is a huge one. Do you believe it's the plan of God that you die from cancer or a disease or sickness? You'd be surprised. Some people believe that. So are you that person? We're going to talk about it next time. Okay. And also, I am looking for some interns. I'm just out there telling you what I need right now for this podcast. I didn't realize how wonderful and popular it was becoming. So I need some interns, psychology, marketing, education, creative arts, web designing, radio, TV, film, those that understand all about the podcast. So get in contact with me through the group chat on the Facebook, and I can communicate with you and we can get started. Okay, so until next Sunday, I want you to just have faith in God. I want you to remember that, it's not so much um, each and every day, the trials that you go through. You got to have peace in the journey. You have to know that God is with you in all that you do. Okay. So this is Shirley Farrar, and this is Encouragement on Fire. When you know it, you will do it. I'll talk to you soon.